Good morning. There's something sacred about the sound of silence after pain, something mighty about the stillness that follows the storm. You sit with your head in your hands, wondering why the world won't give you peace. You feel the weight of everything pressing down on your chest, and yet, here you are, breathing, still rising, still standing. That alone is a kind of magic most people will never understand. You see, we live in a world that tells us to show strength only in the bright places, to smile when it's easy, and to win when the odds are already in our favor. But the truth, the raw and beautiful truth, is that your strength does not shine most in the sunlight. Your strength glows in the dark. It trembles through the nights you cried quietly so no one would hear. It pulses through the mornings you got up when you swore you couldn't move. That struggle you carry is not your shame. It is your superpower. It teaches you. It molds you. It speaks to you in the language only survivors can hear. Every tear is a teacher. Every ache is a lesson. Every time you fall, the ground whispers something new, something meant for you alone. And those who have never been broken will never understand what it means to put yourself back together with grace. The world will try to call you weak. They will call your quiet wounds failures. But they do not know what it takes to walk with pain in your bones and still offer kindness. They do not know the depth of power in someone who has lost everything and still chooses to love. You are not less because you have struggled. You are more. You are layered. You are strong in ways the untested will never be. Every struggle shapes a strength that comfort could never teach. That is the truth life whispers when we are down on our knees, not sure if we can take another step. In comfort, we rest. In comfort, we enjoy ease. But in struggle, we grow. Struggle is where the lessons live. It is where the mirror is held up to our soul, showing us not just who we are, but who we could be if we kept going one more day. There's something in you that doesn't come alive until life presses you to the edge. Comfort never forces you to reach for more. It never asks you to dig deeper. It never shows you what you're made of, but struggle does. Struggle strips away the illusions. It takes away the noise. It puts you in a place where you hear your own heartbeat and recognize the rhythm of your will. You begin to discover the quiet power you've always had but never needed to use before. And that power is not loud. It is not showy. It is steady. It is steady like a drumbeat in the night. It is steady like breath after a long cry. It is strength that was born in fire. In your most difficult moments, you don't just learn how to survive, you learn how to stretch. You stretch beyond what you thought was possible. You discover patience in pain. You discover clarity in chaos. You discover the strength to keep walking even when your legs tremble and the ground feels shaky. And when you look back, you realize those hard places didn't break you. They built you. They gave you wisdom that soft days could never give. This is why struggle is not a punishment, it is a teacher. It is life's way of shaping you for something greater than what you can see now. You are not meant to stay in the valley forever, but you are meant to learn something while you're there. And every time you climb out of a low place, you bring with you a new kind of power, a power that cannot be bought, a power that cannot be given by others. It is the kind of power that only comes through the climb. When you've known the darkness, the light means more. When you've been empty, joy tastes sweeter. When you've lost your way and found it again, you no longer take direction for granted. Struggle awakens your senses, it awakens your purpose, it reveals the depth of your character. And when you come out on the other side, you are not the same. You're stronger, wiser, more grounded, more alive. People who have not struggled may have comfort, but they rarely have the courage that comes from standing face to face with fear and choosing to rise anyway. You have walked through moments that made others fold. You have carried weights that felt impossible. You have doubted yourself and still shown up. That is not weakness. That is not failure. That is real, unshakable strength. That is the kind of strength that cannot be learned in a classroom or borrowed from someone else. It must be earned, and you have earned it. So when you feel like you're being pushed beyond your limit, remember This is not the end. This is the making of you. One day, the strength you are building in silence will speak louder than anything you've ever said. And that strength will carry you where comfort never could. What breaks you now will build the foundation of your greatness later. It's hard to see it when you're in the middle of it. When life feels like it's tearing you apart, when you're left staring at pieces of yourself you barely recognize, it feels like something is ending. And maybe something is, but what's ending is not your worth, not your potential. What's ending is an old layer of who you were being stripped away so something stronger, wiser, and more powerful can be revealed underneath. You don't build strength by avoiding pain. You build strength by standing in it, letting it teach you, letting it refine you. That moment where everything feels like it's falling apart is the very moment something deeper is being put together. You can't build a strong foundation until the surface has been broken, until the shallow layers have been cleared. So maybe this breaking, as painful as it is the beginning of your rising. Sometimes we confuse breaking with being broken, but they're not the same. Being broken is giving up, staying down, letting the weight win. But breaking, that's a process. That's transformation. That's when life is doing its hardest work on you, shaking loose the fears, the doubts, the limits you placed on yourself. It's like the earth cracking open before something beautiful breaks through the soil. The breaking is not the end. It's the start of becoming something greater. You've been through things that changed you, that shifted your spirit, that made you question everything. And yet, you're still here, still breathing, still reaching. That says something. That says there's more in you than the world ever gave you credit for. It means you've been quietly building a foundation made of experience, of survival, of lessons that no one can take from you. And that foundation, it's not made of easy days or smooth paths. It's made of hard nights and heavy choices. It's made of the moments you felt like you couldn't, but did anyway. Greatness doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in the dark. It grows in the lonely hours when you're questioning your path. It grows in the quiet victories that no one sees. And when you finally rise, when you finally step into that greatness, people will see the light, but they won't know the fire it took to get there. But you'll know. And that knowledge, that knowing, will make you unshakable. There will come a time when what once hurt you becomes your strength. What once shattered your peace will deepen your purpose. What once broke you will become the very thing that builds you. And not just for yourself, but for the people who need to see someone rise from what they thought would destroy them. Your foundation will not just hold you, it will lift others too. So the next time you feel like life is pulling you apart, remember this. Something beautiful is being built beneath the surface. Every crack is making room for something more solid. Every fall is clearing the way for a stronger step forward. This is not the end. It's the foundation of your becoming. Pain is not your prison. It's the pathway to power. It doesn't always feel that way, especially when it shows up uninvited, when it hits you in the middle of a quiet moment or creeps in after everyone else has gone. Pain feels personal. It feels like a punishment, like you've done something wrong just by being human. But pain is not here to chain you. It's here to change you. It's not meant to hold you down. It's meant to wake you up. There's something about pain that strips away the layers we no longer need. It forces you to stop pretending. It demands honesty. When you're hurting, you're not interested in masks or games or empty victories. You start asking the real questions. You start seeing what matters and who truly stays. That clarity is power. That honesty with yourself is strength. And pain, though it burns, becomes the flame that forges you. We spend so much of our lives avoiding pain, fearing it, numbing it, running from it. But what if we turned around and faced it instead? What if we walked into it knowing that it has something to teach us, something to give us that we could never find in ease? Because once you stop resisting it, you begin to notice that pain is a doorway, not a dead end. You learn how deep your courage goes when you move through pain. You learn how much your soul can hold without breaking. It humbles you, but it also grounds you. It makes you gentle where you used to be hard and strong where you used to be unsure. And that transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens in layers, slowly, like sunlight warming frozen ground. Little by little, your power returns, not loud or showy, but steady, deep, and unmistakable. Power gained through pain is different. It's not the kind of power that needs to shout or prove anything. It's quiet. It walks into a room and doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation. It knows what it's worth because it has been tested. It has been through fire and come out on the other side with scars that speak louder than words. This kind of power makes you fearless, not because you don't feel fear, but because you've already survived worse than fear. You've already made it through the nights you thought would break you, and that makes you unstoppable. There will always be people who haven't walked through what you have. They may not understand the silence you keep, the battles you fought in your own mind, the strength it takes to get out of bed some days. That's okay. You don't need them to understand. You are not here to explain your pain. You are here to rise from it. You are here to use it, to turn it into wisdom, to use it as fuel, to let it remind you of everything you've overcome and everything you're still becoming. So let pain do its work. Let it shape you, teach you, deepen you. Do not run from it. Do not fear it. Because once you pass through it, you'll find yourself standing in a place where strength is no longer something you reach for. It's something you carry in your bones. And in that moment, you'll know that pain was never your prison. It was your passage to power. The storm you survive becomes the story that saves someone else. We often forget that our pain has purpose beyond our own healing. In the middle of the struggle, all we feel is the weight of it, the heaviness that refuses to let us breathe. We're not thinking about stories or saving anyone. We're just trying to survive. But survival itself is powerful because when you come out of the storm, not only do you carry the strength it gave you, you also carry the map for someone else who's still walking through it. There is something deeply human about shared struggle. People connect through it. They find meaning in knowing they're not alone. And when someone sees that you've made it through what they're still drowning in, your story becomes their light. It becomes the thing that reminds them hope still lives, that rising is possible, that strength can be born in the middle of brokenness. You might think your journey is messy, too quiet, too slow, or not remarkable enough to inspire anyone. But the truth is, you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You just need to be real. You just need to be honest. When someone hears your truth and sees how far you've come, it doesn't just uplift them, it creates space for them to believe in their own path too. And sometimes that belief is the beginning of their healing. The moments that nearly broke you, the nights you thought you would make it through, they weren't wasted. They became sacred ground, the kind of ground that gives birth to wisdom. And that wisdom can't be found in books or borrowed from others. It can only be earned through living, through walking through fire and finding your voice on the other side. That voice carries weight. It carries truth. Carries something deeper than surface words. It carries the proof that pain can be survived. So don't be ashamed of what you've walked through. Don't silence your story because you think it's too raw, too rough, too real. That rawness is exactly what makes it powerful. You don't need a perfect past to inspire someone. You need the courage to be seen. And every time you share where you've been and what you've learned, you give someone else permission to be honest with themselves. You show them that struggle is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming someone who understands, someone who uplifts, someone who lives with deeper compassion. We don't always choose our storms, but we do choose what we carry out of them. You can choose to carry bitterness or you can carry wisdom. You can carry silence or you can carry your voice. You can choose to be defined by what happened, or you can let it refine you into someone who rises and reaches back to pull others up too. That is a kind of power comfort will never give you. You may never know how many lives your story will touch, But trust this, the storm you survived wasn't just about you. It was also about the people who will one day look at your life and find the strength to survive their own. Struggle doesn't mean you're losing, it means you're transforming. It's easy to forget this when you're in the thick of it, when everything feels heavy, when nothing seems to move, when your heart aches from carrying what no one else can see. You start to question your path, wonder if the pain has a purpose or if the fight is even worth it. But what if this isn't failure? What if this is the very process that's shaping you into someone stronger, someone clearer, someone more rooted in truth? Transformation rarely feels like progress. It often feels like falling apart. It feels like confusion, silence, and a long stretch of waiting. But underneath that stillness, something is shifting. The old parts of you, the fear, the doubt, the need to be accepted by everyone, they're loosening their grip. They're being replaced by something more steady, something more grounded in who you are rather than who the world told you to be. And that process, while painful, is necessary. Struggle is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you are shedding. You are releasing parts of yourself that no longer serve your growth. The discomfort you feel is not weakness. It's the stretching of your spirit. It's the quiet breaking of the shell that once kept you safe but is now too small to hold your becoming. And just like the seed must crack before it grows, you too must pass through discomfort to uncover your power. Most people run from struggle. They run because it feels uncertain. It feels like standing in the dark with no clear way forward. But if you stay long enough, if you keep walking with your eyes wide open and your heart still willing, you'll begin to see what's really happening. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And soon what was invisible beneath the surface will break through as strength, as clarity, as a new version of you that couldn't have existed without the hard places. Struggle refines your vision. It forces you to let go of distractions and come back to what truly matters. When everything is being tested, you learn what is real. You learn what you can live without. You learn who truly stands beside you. And that wisdom earned through fire is what gives you power that no easy day could ever offer. You start to move differently, speak differently, live more honestly. And that authenticity is the fruit of your transformation. No one applauds the struggle. No one celebrates the silent moments when you choose not to give up. But that's where the real victory lives. It lives in your persistence. It lives in the way you keep showing up even when nothing makes sense. It lives in the way you refuse to stop believing in your growth even when the results are still unseen. That kind of resilience cannot be taught. It can only be built, moment by moment, in the fire of transformation. So do not mistake the struggle for defeat. It's not the end of your journey. It's the turning point. It's the sacred space between who you were and who you are becoming. And if you keep moving, even slowly, even quietly, you will look back one day and realize that every step, every fall, every ache was part of your rising. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are symbols of victory earned. We often try to hide the marks life leaves on us like they make us less worthy or somehow damaged. But those scars, visible or unseen, are proof that we've endured, that we've survived moments that could have broken us entirely. They speak without words. They tell the story of someone who refused to quit, someone who fell and got back up, someone who kept walking even when it hurt to stand. The world may try to define beauty by perfection, but real beauty is in the imperfection that holds history. Real strength is not in the person who never struggles, but in the one who shows their wounds with grace, knowing each one is evidence of a battle fought and overcome. Every scar you carry tells a story not of weakness, but of resilience. They mark where healing began. They remind you of what you've come through, and they carry a quiet power that comfort never gave you. There is no shame in the struggle. There is no weakness in hurting. The things you have walked through, the pain, the heartbreak, the loss, the fear, they didn't take you down. Maybe they shook you. Maybe they left you with questions and sleepless nights, but you're still here, still moving, still growing. That is not defeat. That is victory. And the scars are simply the echo of that strength. They're the places where pain tried to leave its mark, but healing wrote its name instead. We often think victory looks like celebration, like applause and bright lights, but real victory often happens in silence, when no one is watching. When you wake up after a long night of doubt and choose to try again. When you forgive yourself for falling short and decide to begin anew. When you carry on with a quiet fire that only those who've been broken can understand. Those moments don't make headlines, but they build a kind of soul that lasts. Let your scars speak, not to impress others, but to remind yourself of who you are. You are not fragile because you've hurt. You are not broken because you've been through pain. You are powerful because you faced what should have stopped you and continued anyway. You are worthy not despite your scars, but because of them. They are the map of your survival, the art carved by your becoming. And when others see your scars, not the polished version of you, but the real, raw you, they don't see failure, they see hope. They see possibility. They see someone who has been through the fire and still found a way to shine. And that is what the world needs. Not perfection, not the illusion of ease, but the truth of someone who has lived, who has hurt, and who still chooses to rise. So do not cover your scars in shame. Wear them with quiet pride, not because the pain was fair or easy, but because you didn't let it win. Because every scar you carry is a reminder that you are still here, still fighting, still becoming the person you were always meant to be. You've walked with me through every layer of struggle, through the fire, the silence, the scars, the breaking, the rising. And if there's one truth that echoes through it all, it is this. The very things that tried to break you were never the end of your story. They were the beginning of your strength. The struggle did not come to destroy you. It came to reveal you, to shape you, to remind you of the fierce, unstoppable power that lives within you. So wherever you are on your journey, whether you're still climbing, still hurting, or just beginning to rise, know that you are not behind and you are not lost. You are becoming. And that becoming is sacred. The struggle is not your weakness. It is your superpower. It is the proof that your spirit is still alive, still reaching, still full of purpose. Carry your pain with purpose. Carry your scars with pride. And carry your story like the light it truly is. Because someone out there needs your strength to remember their own. Good luck on your journey. Keep rising, keep going, and thank you for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, the air is thick with the weight of wanting. I see it in your eyes. I hear it in your breath. That longing is silent but deafening. It pulls at you. It pushes you. It wrestles you down when you try to stand tall. You want control over your cravings, over your anger, over that restless, aching hunger for something more, something better, something just out of reach. But control, my dear, is not a thing you chase. It is a thing you build, brick by brick, thought by thought, day by day. The secret? Oh, I will tell it to you, but only if you promise to hold it close. The secret to self-control is not in force, not in clenched fists or gritted teeth. No, it is in knowing who you are, knowing why you rise in the morning and what fire burns inside of you. Because when you know that, truly know that, there is nothing in this world that can shake you loose from your own power. You see, the mind is a garden, and what you feed it, it grows. You feed it doubt, and it will choke on weeds. You feed it discipline, purpose, grace, and oh, how it will bloom. Self-control is not about denying yourself joy. It is about choosing joy that lasts longer than a moment, choosing strength over weakness, choosing wisdom over impulse. It is about standing at the crossroads of desire and discipline, looking temptation in the face and saying, not today. The road to mastery is not carved by wishes or half-hearted attempts. No, it is built brick by brick with something far stronger than mere desire. It is built with discipline. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you long to be. It is the quiet force that moves mountains, the steady hand that holds you upright when the winds of temptation blow hard against you. Too often, we mistake self-withdrawal for deprivation. We think it means saying no to everything we love, turning away from pleasure, locking ourselves into rigid routines that drain the joy from life. But, my dear, that is not discipline, that is punishment. And self-control is not about suffering, it is about strength. It is about standing in the middle of your cravings, your impulses, your deepest temptations, and knowing that you have the power to choose what serves you and what does not. A moment of pleasure can feel like freedom, but if it chains you to regret, is it truly worth it? Impulse is quick, fleeting, a fire that flares up and burns out before you can catch your breath. But discipline, oh, discipline is the steady flame that keeps you warm through the coldest of nights. It does not demand that you deny yourself joy. It asks only that you choose joy that lasts longer than a moment. You see, self-control is not about force. It is about focus. It is about knowing what you want, not just in the moment, but in the grander scheme of your life. It is about standing at the edge of temptation and asking yourself, is this who I am? Is this who I want to be? And if the answer is no, then you turn away, not because you are punishing yourself, but because you respect yourself too much to settle for less than what you deserve. And yes, the world will test you. It will place before you all the things you swore you would resist. It will whisper in your ear, just this once won't hurt. And maybe it won't. Maybe one slip won't undo all your progress. But remember this, each time you give in, you make it easier to give in again. Each time you say no, you build a habit of strength, a foundation of resilience, a pattern of success that will carry you through the hardest of trials. Do not be fooled into thinking that discipline is something you are simply born with, like the color of your eyes or the sound of your voice. No, discipline is built. It is trained. It is a muscle. And every time you use it, it grows. Every time you wake up early when you'd rather sleep in, every time you choose patience over frustration, every time you walk away from a momentary pleasure that does not serve your greater purpose, you are strengthening that muscle. You are becoming the master of yourself, not the slave to your impulses. And if you stumble, if you fall, do not stay down. Do not throw away all your progress because of one misstep. Get up, my dear, and walk again. Because self-control is not about being perfect. It is about being persistent. It is about choosing again and again, as many times as it takes, to be stronger than the moment that tempts you. Your desires do not own you. Your impulses do not define you. You are not a leaf tossed about by the winds of craving. You are the tree, steady, rooted, unshaken. And in that strength, in that discipline lies your freedom. The mind is a battlefield, and every day, every moment, a quiet war is waged between impulse and wisdom. You feel it, don't you? That pull, that whisper urging you toward the thing that brings quick pleasure, a fleeting rush, an easy escape. It feels harmless, it feels right, and in that moment, it is so easy to believe that acting on impulse is freedom. But tell me, what kind of freedom leads you straight into the arms of regret? Impulse is a trickster. It tells you to take without thinking, to speak without measuring, to act without pausing. And before you even have the chance to catch your breath, it leaves you staring at the mess it made, whispering, "Why did I do that?" That is the nature of impulse. It moves fast, it hits hard, and then it vanishes, leaving behind the weight of choices you cannot undo. Regret, on the other hand, does not vanish so easily. It lingers. It sits with you in the quiet hours, in the spaces where your thoughts have no distractions. It creeps into your mind when you least expect it, reminding you of the moments when a second of patience could have saved you from days, months, even years of wishing you had chosen differently. But you are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of every urge, every fleeting desire that demands your attention. You have the ability, the right, the responsibility to pause, to think, to ask yourself one simple question before you act. Is this choice worth the weight of regret? Because that is what it comes down to, my dear. A moment of impulse might feel like relief, might feel like pleasure, but if it leaves you carrying a burden you cannot put down, then it is no victory. It is a loss. And yet we are taught to chase impulse, to embrace it, to let our desires dictate our decisions. Follow your heart, they say, as if the heart does not sometimes lead us straight into the fire. Do what feels right, they say, as if what feels right in the moment will not burn us in the end. But you, my dear, you must be wiser than that. You must know that real power is not in following every urge that calls your name. Real power is in choosing which calls to answer. So when the craving comes, when the temptation rises, when the urge to act without thinking presses heavy on your chest, take a breath, a deep one. Give yourself the gift of time, even if it is only a few seconds. Think beyond the moment. See the future you, the one who will have to carry the consequences of this choice. Ask yourself, will this bring me peace tomorrow? Will this make me proud a week from now, a year from now? And if the answer is no, then turn away, not because you are denying yourself, but because you are protecting yourself. Understand this, strength is not in giving in. Strength is in standing firm, in walking away from what does not serve you, in choosing a greater joy over a momentary thrill. It is in recognizing that every no you say to impulse is a yes to a better, stronger, wiser you. And yes, you will stumble. There will be days when impulse wins, days when regret knocks on your door, but do not let those days define you. Learn from them, rise from them, choose differently next time, because self-control is not about never falling. It is about never staying down. You are not ruled by your cravings. You are not a prisoner to your impulses. You are greater than a single moment, stronger than a fleeting desire, and when you stand firm, when you hold your ground, you will find that the weight of regret never even had to touch you. The mind is the first battlefield, the first home, the first temple. It is where every great victory is won and where every great defeat begins. If you master your mind, you master your life. It is as simple and as difficult as that. Every action, every decision, every path you take, whether toward strength or weakness, toward success or struggle, begins in the quiet corridors of your own thoughts. And yet too many of us walk through life as prisoners in our own minds, chained by doubt, by fear, by cravings that pull us in every direction but forward. We let impulses control us. Let emotions dictate our choices. Let the noise of the world drown out the voice inside us that knows the way. But tell me, how can you expect to control anything outside of you if you do not first take control of what is within? The world will tempt you. It will place distractions at every turn. It will tell you to give in, to take the easy road, to silence your discipline for the sake of a moment's pleasure. And if your mind is weak, you will believe it. If your thoughts are untamed, they will pull you away from everything you have worked for. That is why self-control does not begin in the body, it begins in the mind. It begins with what you allow yourself to think, to believe, to dwell upon. If you constantly feed your mind with doubt, how can you expect to walk in confidence? If you let negativity take root, how can you grow into your strength? What you focus on, you become. What you allow to linger in your mind, you invite into your life. You cannot afford to let your thoughts run wild, chasing every impulse, every craving, every emotion that flares up in a moment and disappears in the next. You must take control. You must decide who you are before the world decides it for you. And that control, that discipline of the mind does not happen overnight. It is built moment by moment like a muscle being trained. It is in the decision to pause before you speak, to think before you act, to step back and see beyond the moment. It is in learning to recognize when your mind is leading you down a path that does not serve you and having the strength to redirect it, because that is the true test of power. not being controlled by the wind of your emotions, but knowing how to stand firm in the storm. Self-control is not about denying yourself happiness. It is about choosing a happiness that lasts longer than a single moment. It is about understanding that the greatest freedom comes from discipline, that the strongest person is not the one who gives in to every desire, but the one who knows when to walk away. It is about knowing that mastery of the mind is the foundation of mastery in all things. So guard your thoughts, train them, shape them into something that serves you instead of something that controls you. When doubt comes knocking, refuse to let it in. When fear whispers in your ear, remind yourself of your strength. When temptation pulls at you, remember the future you are building. Because you, my dear, are not just a body, not just a sum of impulses and cravings. You are a mind, a force, a being of infinite power when you learn to wield it. Do not let the world control you. Do not let your emotions dictate your destiny. Take the reins of your own thoughts and watch how your life begins to change. Because once you master your mind, you will find that nothing, no temptation, no impulse, no fleeting desire can ever truly master you. There is a moment, a split second, when a choice is made, when your body pulls you one way and your mind tells you another. When the craving rises, the temptation whispers, the impulse burns hot in your chest. It is easy to believe that what you want right now is all that matters. It is easy to surrender, to convince yourself that one indulgence, one slip, one small moment of weakness will not matter. But tell me this, when the moment has passed, when the pleasure fades, when the rush dies down, what is left? Regret? Disappointment, a voice in the back of your mind saying, I should have been stronger, because cravings are loud, but they do not last. They demand attention, they scream for satisfaction, but they pass as quickly as they come. Character, on the other hand, is quiet. It is built in the choices you make when no one is watching. It is formed in the moments when you want to give in but choose to hold your ground. Every time you resist a craving that does not serve you, you are not just denying yourself a fleeting pleasure, you are building something far greater. You are building strength, resilience, discipline. You are proving to yourself that you are in control, not your desires. It is easy to follow impulse. It takes no effort to give in, but strength, real strength, is in the pause, in the moment where you step back and ask yourself, is this who I want to be? Because character is not shaped in a single decision, but in the small choices made over and over again. Think of the person you admire, the one who carries themselves with grace, with power, with wisdom. Do you think they got there by chasing every craving that called their name? Do you think they built their strength by surrendering to every impulse that pulled at them? No. They became who they are by choosing long-term strength over short-term satisfaction. They became who they are by understanding that true fulfillment is not found in fleeting pleasures, but in the steady discipline of self-control. And yet the world tells you otherwise. It tells you to indulge, to take, to give in, because life is short. But tell me, what kind of life is built on a foundation of impulse? What kind of future can be shaped by momentary pleasure at the cost of long-term strength? Life is not just about what you do in a single moment. It is about what you build over time. And yes, it is hard. It is hard to walk away when your cravings beg you to stay. It is hard to say no when everything inside you screams yes. But every time you choose character over craving, you make the next choice easier. Every time you resist temptation, you strengthen the muscle of self-control. And one day, what once felt impossible will feel effortless. What once seemed like a struggle will become second nature. But you will stumble, you will fall, you will have moments where you give in, where the craving wins. And that is not failure, that is human. What matters is what you do after. Do you let one slip define you? Do you allow one moment of weakness to unravel all the strength you have built? Or do you rise? Do you learn? Do you remind yourself that your journey is not determined by a single mistake, but by the choices you continue to make? You are not your cravings. You are not your impulses. You are your discipline, your resilience, your ability to stand firm when the world tells you to bend. And with every moment of self-control, you are shaping something stronger than any fleeting pleasure. You are shaping the kind of person you can be proud of. Strength is not given, it is built. It is not something you are born with, something that falls into your lap, something that appears when you need it most. No, strength, real, unwavering, undeniable strength, is forged in the fire of repetition, in the daily choices, in the moments when no one is watching. And willpower, my dear, is no different. It is a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. But here's the truth many refuse to accept. Strength is not built in comfort. It is not built in the easy days and the moments when everything is going your way. No, it is built in resistance. It is built in struggle. It is built in the moments when you are faced with temptation, when your cravings whisper, when your impulses pull, and yet you choose discipline instead. You choose purpose over pleasure. You choose growth over gratification. Think of a muscle, how it grows. You do not wake up one morning and suddenly have strength you did not work for. No, you lift the weight. You feel the resistance. You push, you strain, you work through the discomfort, and only then does the muscle grow. Willpower works the same way. Every time you resist temptation, you are lifting that weight. Every time you say no to a craving that does not serve you, you are pushing through that resistance. And with each choice, each moment of discipline, that muscle grows. At first, it is hard. Oh, it will be hard. Because just like a muscle that has never been trained, willpower feels weak at first. It shakes under the weight of temptation. It falters under the strain of impulse. But do not mistake weakness for permanence. Weakness is only the starting point. Strength comes with effort. It comes with practice. It comes with choosing again and again to do what is hard instead of what is easy, to do what is right instead of what is convenient. And just like training any muscle, consistency is the key. You do not build strength by lifting a weight once and never again. You do not build endurance by running 1 mile and stopping forever. No, you must return to the challenge day after day. You must face your impulses, your desires, your temptations, and meet them with the same unshaken resolve. Because the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. One day, the thing that felt impossible will feel easy. One day, the temptation that once had power over you will be nothing more than a passing thought. And that is how you know your willpower has grown. That is how you know the muscle has strengthened. But understand this, just like any muscle, willpower can weaken if you do not use it. If you give in too often, if you stop training your discipline, if you allow impulse to take control, that strength you work so hard to build will begin to fade, because weakness is not something that simply exists. It is something that creeps in when strength is left unattended. So you must keep working, keep choosing, keep pushing through the resistance, because every moment of discipline, every choice to delay gratification, every decision to walk away from a craving that does not serve you, it all adds up. It all builds upon itself, turning you into a person of unshakable self-control. And when you reach that point, when your willpower is strong, when your discipline is second nature, you will realize that what once felt like a struggle is now your greatest strength. You will realize that no temptation, no craving, no impulse can shake the foundation you have built. Because your strength is not in the moment, it is in the choices you have made over and over again. And that, my dear, is the power of a trained will. The world is full of distractions, full of noise, full of things pulling you in 1,000 different directions. There's always something demanding your attention, something tempting you away from the path you know you should be walking. And if you are not careful, if you do not guard your focus like the precious thing it is, you will find yourself lost, drifting from one impulse to the next, one craving to the next, one empty desire to the next, never truly in control. Self-control is not just about resisting temptation. It is about directing your energy toward what matters. It is about knowing what you want and keeping your eyes on it no matter what distractions appear along the way. Because make no mistake, distractions will come. They will dress themselves up as opportunities, as harmless indulgences, as things too small to matter. But every moment spent chasing something meaningless is a moment taken away from something that could have built you, strengthened you, transformed you. It is easy to lose focus. It is easy to get caught up in what feels good in the moment instead of what will serve you in the long run. It is easy to tell yourself just this once, just for today, just a little bit. But every small distraction, every little detour, every moment spent feeding impulse instead of discipline adds up. And before you know it, you are miles away from where you were meant to be. You must train yourself to recognize distractions for what they are, not harmless, not insignificant, but thieves. Thieves of your time, thieves of your energy, thieves of your future. You must teach yourself to pause, to step back, to ask, is this bringing me closer to my goals or is this pulling me away? And if the answer is that it is pulling you away, then you must be strong enough to let it go. Because focus is power. A mind that is trained to resist distractions is a mind that can achieve anything. A person who is disciplined enough to stay on course even when temptations surround them is a person who will reach heights others only dream of. But that kind of focus does not come by accident. It must be built, it must be protected, it must be something you choose over and over again, and yes, it will be difficult. The world does not make focus easy. It does not reward patience, discipline, or restraint. It rewards speed, convenience, instant gratification. But you must decide, do you want to be like the rest of the world, moving from one impulse to the next, never truly mastering yourself? Or do you want to be something greater? Do you want to be someone who controls their destiny instead of letting their cravings control them? If you choose the latter, then you must be intentional. You must create habits that strengthen your focus. You must set boundaries that keep distractions at bay. You must learn to say no to the things that do not serve you, to the impulses that promise pleasure but deliver regret, to the fleeting desires that take you further from your purpose. And above all, you must trust yourself. Trust that what you are working toward is worth more than whatever is tempting you in the moment. Trust that discipline is not deprivation but liberation. Trust that staying focused, even when it is hard, will always lead you somewhere better than distraction ever could. Because in the end, the ability to resist distractions is not just about self-control, it is about self-respect. It's about valuing your time, your energy, your future enough to protect it from anything that tries to steal it away. And when you master that, when you guard your focus like the treasure it is, nothing, no temptation, no craving, no fleeting impulse will ever have power over you again. There will always be moments of doubt, moments where the weight of self-control feels too heavy to bear. The temptation to give in, to let go, to indulge in the comfort of weakness will always be there, whispering that one slip does not matter, and perhaps in a single moment it does not. But self-control is not about a single moment. It is about a pattern, a rhythm, a way of being that is shaped choice by choice. Discipline is not built on perfection. It is built on persistence. No one walks a straight path without stumbling. No one resists every temptation without ever slipping. But the difference between those who succeed and those who surrender is not whether they fall. It is what they do after. The ones who rise, who correct their course, who refuse to let one mistake define them, those are the ones who master themselves. Those are the ones who do not let failure turn into a habit. It is easy to be discouraged. It is easy to say, I failed once, so what does it matter now? It is easy to believe that a single moment of weakness erases all the strength you have built. But hear me when I tell you, no slip, no mistake, no momentary loss of control can undo the work you have done unless you let it. Unless you choose to let that slip become a pattern, that mistake become an identity, that weakness become a way of life. Self-control is not about never falling. It is about always getting back up. It is about reminding yourself again and again that your power is not lost in a single moment of weakness. It is about choosing, despite failure, to keep moving forward. And the truth is, every fall holds a lesson. Every mistake carries wisdom. Every time you give in when you should have resisted, there is something to be learned. Do not waste your failures by turning them into shame. Do not bury your mistakes in regret. Instead, ask yourself, what can this teach me? What will I do differently next time? Because failure is only failure if it teaches you nothing. Otherwise, it is just another step on the path to mastery. But be careful. There is a fine line between learning from a mistake and making excuses for it. Self-control is not just about resisting temptation, it is about accountability. It is about looking at yourself honestly, recognizing where you have fallen short, and taking responsibility for the choices you have made. It is about refusing to let excuses soften the weight of your own decisions. You must hold yourself to a higher standard, not because perfection is expected, but because growth is required. Not because you will never fail, but because failure must never be the end of your story. Every time you get back up, you are proving to yourself that discipline is stronger than weakness, that persistence is stronger than failure, that the person you are becoming is stronger than the temptations that try to pull you down. And that is the secret, the real secret to self-control. It is not about never slipping. It is about always choosing to rise. It is about never letting a single failure turn into a lifetime of regret. It is about understanding that self-mastery is not built on the absence of struggle, but on the refusal to be defeated by it. So rise. Again and again, rise. Because every time you do, you are proving to yourself that nothing, not temptation, not failure, not even your own moments of weakness, can ever truly hold power over you. Self-control is not a gift, it is a choice, a habit, a discipline built moment by moment, decision by decision. It is the quiet strength in resisting what does not serve you, the unwavering focus in protecting what truly matters, the resilience in rising after every fall. It is the difference between a life shaped by impulse and a life shaped by intention. And yes, the road is not easy. There will be temptations that try to steal your focus, cravings that whisper promises of comfort, moments where surrender feels easier than discipline. But remember this, you are stronger than a fleeting desire. You are greater than a passing impulse. And every time you choose self-control, you are proving to yourself that you hold the power, not your temptations. So stand firm, stay committed, keep building the discipline that will shape your future. And when you stumble, because you will, rise with even greater resolve. Because true strength is not in never falling, it is in never staying down. Good luck on your journey, and may your choices lead you to the life you truly deserve. Thank you. Dear sisters, there is a power in silence that many never notice, but it is there. It walks quietly into a room and steadies the air. It does not shout, it does not boast, yet it shapes the world in ways too deep for noise to reach. This power is the silent warrior, the woman whose strength often goes unseen but is always felt. She may not raise her voice to demand recognition, but her presence tells the story of endurance, of patience, of courage hidden in plain sight. A woman carries storms in her chest and still greets the world with calm. She knows what it means to be wounded, yet she learns to dance with the ache. She understands that the world will not always clap for her victories, but she claps for herself in the stillness of her heart. When doors close, she builds new ones. When dreams are mocked, she keeps them close until they bloom. Her strength is not always in lifting heavy loads. Sometimes it is in lifting broken spirits, sometimes in lifting herself out of despair when no one is watching. There is a beauty in her quiet fight. It is the way she rises in the morning to face the same challenges that tried to break her yesterday. It is the way she stands firm in her truth even when the ground beneath her shakes. It is the way she loves, not because it is easy, but because it is her nature to give life wherever she stands. A woman's strength may not always make the headlines, but it builds homes, it saves lives, it heals generations. Many will overlook her, some will underestimate her, but no one can erase the imprint she leaves. A silent warrior does not need applause to know her worth. She carries dignity like a crown, she wears resilience like a garment. She is the song that keeps playing long after the music has stopped. She is the prayer whispered in the dark that brings light to the morning. True strength does not always roar, sometimes it whispers in the quiet resilience of a woman's heart. When we speak of strength, we often imagine a loud declaration, a bold march, a visible stand against the odds. But the deeper truth is that strength is not always found in the noise. It is often hidden in silence, in the moments when a woman faces her trials with a calm face, when she carries burdens that no one sees, when she continues to rise each day despite being overlooked or underestimated. That strength does not demand attention, yet it holds the power to move mountains. There is a quiet kind of power that flows in the way a woman holds her world together. She can be breaking inside, but she chooses to stand tall because others lean on her. She endures storms without announcing them. She absorbs pain without letting it harden her. She fights battles without raising her voice. And in that silence lies a strength greater than any shout. For what could be stronger than a soul that refuses to be crushed, even when no one notices the weight it carries? A woman's resilience is woven into the smallest acts. It is in the way she wipes her tears quickly, so she can put on a smile for her children. It is in the way she pushes through exhaustion to meet responsibilities that others may take for granted. It is in the way she sacrifices without expecting recognition, giving not because she must, but because her spirit is rooted in love and duty. Her strength is not measured by what the world applauds, but by what she endures in silence. The silent warrior does not roar because she does not need to. Her presence speaks louder than any words. She may never demand credit for the lives she shapes, the homes she builds, the hope she sustains, but the impact of her strength lives on long after her battles are fought. And the truth is this: her silence is not weakness. Her silence is wisdom. She knows that strength does not always need to be seen to be real. It can be felt in the stability she brings, in the comfort she offers, in the way she stands as a pillar when others collapse. Think of the countless women who held their families together during wars, during poverty, during loss. Their names may never appear in history books, but their strength kept history alive. Think of the mothers who worked long hours so their children could dream, the daughters who gave up their own desires to care for the old, the sisters who stood in shadows so others could shine. Their strength may not roar from the pages of newspapers, but it whispers in the legacy of lives touched by their endurance. And still, despite the silence of their struggle, the world feels them. You feel them in the warmth of a home built on sacrifices never spoken. You feel them in the wisdom passed down quietly, in the courage they breathe into those around them, in the peace they bring simply by staying steady. A woman's quiet resilience is not an invisible force. It is present everywhere, though it often goes unnamed. So when you look at a woman who seems ordinary, remember that her silence may hold extraordinary battles. When you see her carrying on as if nothing is wrong, know that her strength is whispering louder than you can imagine. She may not roar, but her heart is speaking in every act of endurance, in every moment of grace, in every choice to rise again. And that whisper, though quiet, is more powerful than the loudest shout. Her strength is not always heard, but it is always felt. A woman's power may be unseen by the eye, but it is always felt by the soul. There are forces in life that cannot be captured by sight, yet they change everything they touch. The wind cannot be seen, but its movement bends trees, lifts waves, and cools burning skin. Love itself cannot be touched, yet it carries the power to heal the deepest wounds. In the same way, a woman's strength does not always arrive with grand gestures or visible proof, but it lives in every life she touches, every space she enters, every heart she lifts. Many people search for strength in places that shine, in titles, in wealth, in loud declarations, but true power often hides in places the eye does not wander. A woman may not carry a sword or lead an army, yet her influence builds courage in others. She may not stand on a stage or claim the spotlight, but her presence steadies those who walk beside her. Her power is quiet, sometimes unrecognized, but it is deeply felt. You cannot always see it, but you cannot deny it either. This unseen power reveals itself in moments of trial. When a family feels like breaking apart, it is often the woman who holds the pieces together with words of comfort, with hands that do not tire, with a spirit that refuses to let go. She may not announce that she is the strength of the home, but her silent endurance keeps it from collapsing. Her power is there in the way she lifts others, even while she is carrying her own unseen battles. You may not see the cost of her sacrifices, but you feel the blessing of her presence. The unseen power of a woman is not only in what she does, but in who she is. It is in the wisdom of her silence when words could wound. It is in the patience she shows when the world tests her limits. It is in the hope she plants in the hearts of those who are ready to give up. You cannot always see this strength because it does not ask for recognition. It is not built to impress. It is built to nurture, to heal, to guide. That is why it is felt more than it is seen. Think of the woman who teaches without needing to lecture, whose life itself becomes a lesson. Her children may not always understand the sacrifices she makes, but they feel the love in the meals prepared, the clothes washed, the dreams encouraged. Think of the woman who cares for the sick or stands by a struggling friend. You may not see the sleepless nights or the tears she hides, but you feel the comfort of her presence, the safety she brings, the peace that surrounds her. Her power is like a current beneath the surface of water. You do not always notice it, but it shapes the flow of everything above it. She may be quiet, she may be humble, she may even be invisible to the eyes of the world, yet her influence reaches far beyond what is seen. And in that lies the beauty of her strength. It is not temporary, it is lasting. What is seen fades, but what is felt lives on. A woman's unseen strength teaches us that not everything valuable needs to shine. Some treasures lie deep within, and though they cannot be displayed, they are priceless. Her strength may not roar, but it whispers to the heart. It tells you to keep going when you want to quit. It teaches you to love when bitterness tempts you. It reminds you to hope when the night feels endless. That is the kind of power that shapes destinies. So let us not look only with our eyes, for the eyes will miss what the soul already knows. Let us learn to feel the strength that cannot be seen, the quiet force of a woman's heart that holds the weight of the world. You may not see her power, but you will always feel it. And feeling is proof enough that her strength is real. Her power may be unseen by the eye, but it is always felt by the soul. The silent warrior carries battles within, yet still offers love, healing, and hope to the world. There is something remarkable about a heart that bleeds quietly, but still finds the strength to pour kindness into others. A woman often walks through storms that no one else sees. She fights battles that leave no visible scars, yet her spirit bears the weight of them. And still, in the middle of her struggles, she chooses to love, to nurture, to give light. That is not weakness. That is strength in its purest form. Life is not kind to every woman. She faces disappointments, heartbreaks, responsibilities that can feel heavier than her shoulders were built to carry. Yet she does not let bitterness take root in her. Instead, she channels her pain into compassion. She knows what it feels like to be wounded, so she becomes the one who heals. She understands the loneliness of silent battles, so she becomes the one who listens. She has felt the weight of despair, so she becomes the one who gives hope. The world may never know the battles she fights in her quiet hours, but the world always feels the love she gives. It takes extraordinary courage to keep giving when your own soul is tired. Yet that is the story of so many women. She may wake up with a heavy heart, but she still makes sure others feel seen, heard, and cared for. She may be hurting, but she comforts. She may be broken, but she builds. She may be weary, but she inspires. Her silent battles do not make her less, they make her more. They sharpen her spirit, they deepen her understanding, they widen her heart. The silent warrior does not wait for perfect conditions to show love. She does not wait until her life is easy to heal others. She brings love even when her own soul is cracked. She offers healing even when her wounds are fresh. She gives hope even when her path is uncertain. Her strength is not in hiding her pain, but in rising above it to make sure others do not sink in theirs. And this quiet, unannounced resilience is what makes her power undeniable. Think of the woman who goes through her day with unspoken worries pressing on her, yet still greets others with warmth. Think of the woman who struggles silently in her own heart, yet she is the first to encourage her friend not to give up. Think of the woman who may be carrying grief, yet she still brings joy into her home so her loved ones feel safe. These are not small acts. These are victories that no audience sees, but their echoes touch every life she touches. The world often praises loud acts of courage, yet the courage of a woman's silent battle is just as heroic. To keep showing up with love when your spirit is tested, to keep giving hope when your own heart longs for it, to keep healing others when you are still healing yourself. This is the kind of courage that changes lives. It does not ask for recognition, but it deserves reverence. Her strength is the reminder that battles are not always meant to be visible. Some are carried deep within, and their victories are measured not in applause, but in the lives uplifted by her endurance. She carries her wounds like lessons, not chains. She carries her struggles like seeds, planting them into gardens of compassion that others get to walk through. The world may never see the storm she has weathered, but it will always feel the calm she leaves behind. A woman who carries battles within yet still gives love, healing, and hope shows us the highest form of strength. It is not the absence of struggle, it is the ability to rise from it and share light anyway. And though her journey may not be visible to all, its impact is unshakable. The silent warrior carries battles within, yet still offers love, healing, and hope to the world. Her victories may not be celebrated by the crowd, but they shape generations in silence. Not every triumph needs a stage, not every success needs applause, and not every act of courage is meant to be announced. A woman's victories often live in quiet corners, hidden from the eyes of the world. Yet their impact travels far beyond her lifetime. The child who grows with confidence because a mother whispered encouragement. The family that stands strong because a woman refused to let hardship break it. The community that thrives because a woman chose to give instead of giving up. These are victories that do not make headlines, yet they shape lives in ways no spotlight could ever capture. A woman may not receive medals for the battles she wins, but those battles create legacies. The victories of a silent warrior are not about recognition, they are about transformation. She conquers fear so her children may know courage. She defeats despair so her loved ones may learn hope. She rises after every fall so those watching may understand resilience. And though the crowd may never cheer for her, her quiet triumphs echo through the lives she touches, carrying forward strength and wisdom into generations yet to come. Consider the grandmother who never had the chance to pursue her own dreams, yet sacrificed her days so her children and grandchildren could chase theirs. Her victory was not in being celebrated, but in making space for others to rise. Consider the mother who worked long hours in silence, not for recognition, but to ensure her family never went without. Her victory was not public, but its effects were felt in every smile around her table. These victories are not written in history books, but they are etched in hearts, and they continue to ripple through time. There is a strength in victories that do not need validation. They prove that purpose is greater than praise. A woman who wins silently shows us that success is not defined by claps or titles, but by the difference made in lives around her. Her victories shape character, build values, and sow seeds of love and resilience that blossom in generations to come. That is why her strength is so powerful. It is not limited to her own lifetime. It extends far beyond, carried in the hearts she has touched. Sometimes her victory is simply refusing to let pain define her. Sometimes it is choosing forgiveness instead of bitterness. Sometimes it is keeping her family together when life tries to tear it apart. These victories may look small to the world, but they are enormous in their lasting impact. They become lessons for children, foundations for families, and inspiration for anyone who has witnessed her quiet endurance. She may never be called a hero, but her strength shapes heroes. She may never be called a leader, but her wisdom guides leaders. She may never be called a champion, but her resilience creates champions. What the crowd cannot see is often the most important part of her journey. For a woman does not live to entertain the world's eyes. She lives to fulfill her calling, to protect those she loves, to leave behind a trail of hope. Her victories may not shine in the present, but in the future they glow. Her influence is like a seed planted in the soil. It may disappear from sight, but it grows roots, it rises in time, and it bears fruit that feeds generations. The silent warrior proves that it is not the noise that defines a victory, it is the legacy it leaves. She does not wait for applause to validate her worth, because she knows her worth is in what she has endured and overcome. And though the world may never celebrate her, the future will always feel her. Her victories may not be celebrated by the crowd, but they shape generations in silence. A woman's endurance is the ground beneath many dreams, steady and unshaken. Dreams may appear as if they float high in the air, reaching for stars, chasing the impossible, but what holds them steady, what keeps them from falling apart, is often the quiet endurance of a woman. She does not always stand in the front. She may not always claim her part in the story, but her persistence creates the soil in which those dreams grow. Without her strength, many dreams would never take root, never rise, never survive. Endurance is not glamorous. It is not celebrated in the way victories are. Endurance is often quiet, repetitive, unacknowledged, but it is the reason so many lives find their way forward. A woman carries this endurance within her like a hidden foundation. She stays when others leave. She pushes through when others give up. She chooses to remain strong even when her body and spirit beg her to rest. That steady ground becomes the place where others learn to build. Her endurance is the reason a family survives hardships, the reason children dare to hope, the reason communities continue to thrive. Consider how many great achievements are rooted in the sacrifices of women whose names are never spoken. The scholar who owes his education to a mother who endured long nights of work so he could study. The artist who discovered courage in the silent resilience of a grandmother who never stopped believing in beauty, even in her struggles. The leader who learned endurance by watching a woman refuse to surrender, even in the face of impossible odds. Their dreams stood tall because beneath them was the solid ground of a woman's quiet strength. This endurance is not passive, it is active. It is not simply waiting for storms to pass, it is walking through the storm and refusing to fall. It is not only surviving pain, it is transforming pain into power. A woman's endurance is made of 1,000 little choices to rise again, to keep going, to hold on. And while the world may overlook these choices, their effects ripple outward into every life she touches. Her endurance is tested daily. It is tested by the responsibilities she carries, by the weight of expectations placed on her shoulders, by the challenges that come without warning. Yet she keeps going, not only for herself, but for those who depend on her strength. She keeps going because she knows that endurance is not about the moment, it is about the future. It is about giving others the chance to dream freely. Knowing someone strong is holding the ground steady beneath them. There is a quiet grace in her ability to endure. She may bend under pressure, but she does not break. She may stumble, but she does not surrender. She may grow weary, but she finds strength in places the world cannot see. That resilience becomes a lesson, a living example for those who watch her. Without words, she teaches that life is not about avoiding difficulty, but about learning to stand firm in the middle of it. Without preaching, she shows that strength is not always loud. It is often silent, steady, and unshaken. Think of the dreams that would have never been born if not for the endurance of a woman. The child who dared to believe he could rise above poverty because his mother refused to give up. The young girl who learned to value herself because she saw her sister's resilience in the face of injustice. The family that held on to hope because a woman carried faith through nights of uncertainty. These dreams were not born in comfort, they were born in the soil of endurance. And so the silent warrior stands as the unseen ground beneath countless lives. Her strength may not always be celebrated, but it holds up the future. She proves that endurance is not just about surviving. It is about creating a space where others can rise, where dreams can flourish, where hope can remain alive. A woman's endurance is the ground beneath many dreams, steady and unshaken. She teaches that strength is not only in force, but also in grace, patience, and unwavering spirit. Too often the world confuses strength with hardness, with raised voices, with the ability to command or conquer. But the silent warrior shows us another way. She proves that real strength can be soft, that it can flow quietly like water, carving its way through rock not by force, but by persistence. Her strength is not meant to intimidate. It is meant to inspire. It does not crush, it lifts. It does not demand, it nurtures. It does not burn, it warms. Grace is one of the purest expressions of her power. Grace is not weakness, it is the choice to carry dignity in every circumstance. When life strikes her with cruelty, she does not answer with bitterness. She rises with grace, showing that her spirit cannot be stained by the injustice of the world. Grace is her shield, protecting her from becoming what hurt her. It is her quiet response to chaos, her refusal to lose herself in anger. And in her grace, those around her find peace. They find an example of how to walk through hardship without losing light. Her patience is another pillar of her strength. Patience is not about sitting quietly, it is about waiting with faith. It is about enduring trials without letting them destroy your hope. A woman often waits through seasons of sacrifice, seasons of struggle, seasons of pain. Yet she waits not with despair, but with steady belief that better days will come. Her patience teaches that strength is not rushing through the storm, but standing firmly in it, trusting that it will pass. Patience is her silent testimony that endurance builds character and that the heart grows stronger when it learns to wait without breaking. Then there is her unwavering spirit, the flame within her that refuses to be extinguished. She may bend under the weight of life, but she does not snap. She may stumble on her path, but she rises again. The silent warrior carries a spirit that knows defeat, but refuses to accept it as the final word. Her unwavering spirit becomes the anchor for those around her. It tells them that no matter how deep the valley, no matter how long the night, there is always a way forward. She carries this spirit not as a weapon, but as a light, guiding others when they cannot see their own path. The world often glorifies brute force, yet it is this combination of grace, patience, and spirit that sustains lives. Force can move obstacles for a moment, but it is grace that wins hearts forever. Force may command obedience, but it is patience that builds trust. Force can push forward quickly, but it is unwavering spirit that endures until the end. A woman teaches us this balance, this higher understanding of strength that is not about domination, but about resilience, not about power over others, but about power within. Think of how she forgives when forgiveness seems impossible. That is strength. Think of how she waits for her child's dreams to bloom, even after years of sacrifice. That is strength. Think of how she continues to believe in life's goodness even after walking through pain. That is strength. Her grace, her patience, her spirit, all of it is woven into her silent victories. And though the world may not always recognize them, the people touched by her presence never forget them. Her strength becomes a lesson without words. She shows that the strongest person in the room may not be the loudest, but the one who holds dignity, hope, and faith even when tested. She shows that true strength is not in what you can take from the world, but in what you can give to it. She shows that strength is not about standing above others, but about standing firm for them. And so, the silent warrior teaches us that strength does not always roar. It can be found in grace, in patience, in the unwavering spirit that endures quietly, steadily, and beautifully. The silent warrior proves that you do not need noise to leave an everlasting impact. The world often confuses visibility with importance, as if only what is loud and seen has meaning. Yet history, families, and entire generations stand as proof that some of the greatest influences came from those who moved quietly, from those whose presence was felt more than their words were heard. A woman does not need to announce her sacrifices. She does not need to demand recognition for her endurance. She does not need to raise her voice to prove her worth. Her life itself is the testimony. Her actions, her choices, her resilience speak louder than any words ever could. Impact is not always in the volume of sound, but in the depth of presence. Think of the mother who rarely tells her children how much she has sacrificed, yet every day they grow into people shaped by her love. Think of the teacher who does not shout her wisdom, but whose lessons echo in the lives of her students decades later. Think of the sister or the friend who listens in silence when words would fall short, whose quiet comfort gives more strength than speeches ever could. These are not loud acts, but they are eternal. They remain etched in hearts and woven into destinies. The silent warrior lives her truth in such a way that her example becomes her legacy. She does not need to demand that people notice, because they cannot help but feel her influence. Even when she is no longer present, her impact lingers. Her values become the foundation for others. Her courage becomes the story that is told to inspire. Her kindness becomes the memory that softens pain. She leaves marks that no applause could ever measure. Noise fades. Crowds cheer today and forget tomorrow. But a quiet act of love, a simple moment of courage, a silent sacrifice, those remain. They travel through time in ways that noise cannot. A woman's strength is not diminished by the absence of recognition. It is magnified by the depth of its reach. She shows us that the true test of impact is not how many people saw it, but how many lives were changed by it. Her silence is not emptiness. It is intention. It is the refusal to waste energy on proving when she could spend it on giving. It is the wisdom of knowing that legacy is not built in noise. It is built in consistency, in faithfulness, in quiet resilience. Her silence teaches others to stop measuring their worth by claps and to start measuring it by meaning. She reminds us that the greatest lights do not make sound, yet they guide every step we take in the dark. Consider the grandmother whose prayers no one hears, yet whose family thrives because of them. Consider the woman who chose to forgive silently, and by doing so, broke a cycle of bitterness that could have lasted generations. Consider the woman who chose to stand back so others could move forward, and in her quiet decision shaped futures she would never see. These acts did not need noise. They needed only courage, patience, and love. And because of them, her impact outlives her presence. The silent warrior shows that legacy is not about being remembered loudly, but about being remembered deeply. It is not about how many people knew your name, but how many lives felt your strength. It is not about leaving echoes in the air, but about leaving footprints on hearts. She teaches us to stop chasing noise and start embracing purpose. The truth is, noise may capture attention, but silence leaves the soul marked. And so, the woman who moves without seeking applause, who endures without shouting her struggle, who gives without expecting return, becomes unforgettable. She does not fade with the crowd. She remains as a guiding force, as a quiet memory of what strength truly means. As we reflect on the journey of the silent warrior, we begin to understand that true strength does not always demand attention, yet it shapes lives in ways both profound and lasting. A woman's power lies not in the loudness of her voice, but in the depth of her resilience, in the grace with which she carries her burdens, in the patience she offers when hope seems distant, and in the unwavering spirit that continues to rise no matter how many times life tries to bend her. Her victories may not always be celebrated, her sacrifices may go unseen, yet her impact resonates across generations, touching hearts, inspiring courage, and nurturing dreams. She teaches us that strength is quiet, enduring, and transformative, that influence is felt more than it is spoken, and that love, hope, and resilience are the truest forms of power a human can embody. So let us honor these silent warriors, let us feel their strength, and let us carry forward the lessons they impart without needing recognition or applause. May we learn to value the quiet power that shapes the world, to embrace our own resilience, and to recognize the invisible forces that guide our lives. Good luck to each of you in finding your own silent strength and making a difference in ways that the world may not always see, but will always feel. Thank you. Listen closely, for there is a whisper the world has tried to bury under its noise. It tells you that slowing down, that choosing gentleness, that giving yourself grace is not weakness. You have been taught that proving your worth is measured in struggle and sacrifice, that your value is found in the exhaustion you wear like a badge. But I am here to tell you something else. You can choose peace without guilt. You can honor your soul without answering to the demands of everyone else. You can live softly and still stand tall. There is power in stillness. There is courage in quiet. Every day, we chase more, achieve more, impress more, and in that chase, we forget the tenderness of simply being. To choose a soft life is not to shirk responsibility. It is not to deny the world. It is to understand that your spirit is precious and that preserving it allows you to shine brighter. When you lay down the weight of proving yourself, you open your hands to joy. You allow room for love, for clarity, for creativity, for peace. You create a life that nurtures the roots of who you are, not just the surface that others see. Do not be afraid to let the world see you breathe. Do not apologize for seeking comfort. The soft life is a revolution, though it is quiet. It says no to exhaustion that comes from trying to prove you belong. It says yes to the freedom of aligning with your truth. Every moment you choose calm over chaos, you teach others that it is possible. Every time you honor your own heart, you make it easier for another to honor theirs. The soft life is not selfish, it is sacred. There is a voice inside you that often goes unheard, drowned out by the insistence of the world that you must constantly prove your worth. From the moment we take our first breath, society whispers in our ears that our value is measured by achievement, by recognition, by the applause of others. And so we run. We run to prove ourselves in careers, in relationships, in social circles, as if our very existence depends on the validation of others. But there comes a moment, a quiet, almost imperceptible moment, when you begin to realize that the act of proving yourself endlessly is not strength. It is exhaustion. It is the weight of expectations that were never truly yours to bear, a burden that dims the radiance of your own spirit. Choosing peace over proving yourself is an act of courage, and it begins the moment you stop seeking permission to exist. Courage is not always loud. It does not always roar. Often, it is the gentle choice to honor your own needs, to listen to the whispers of your heart, to step off the treadmill of relentless validation. The world will tell you that to slow down is to surrender, that to rest is to fail, that to prioritize peace is to be selfish. But there is nothing selfish in recognizing your own humanity. There is nothing selfish in saying, I will not allow my value to be dictated by someone else's standards. There is bravery in choosing calm over chaos, in valuing your inner world more than the relentless demands of the outer world. True courage is often quiet. It is found in the spaces where you refuse to prove yourself just to meet someone else's measure of worth. When you stop proving yourself, you begin to reclaim parts of your soul that were lost in the struggle. You begin to see that your value was never dependent on applause or recognition. You begin to trust that simply being is enough. The act of proving yourself endlessly keeps you tethered to a cycle of comparison, competition, and judgment. It keeps you focused on what others think rather than what you know deep in your heart. Choosing peace breaks that cycle. It frees you from the constant need to perform, to impress, to justify your existence. And in that freedom, you discover a strength far greater than any external validation could ever provide. There is a radical beauty in choosing peace. It is a choice to treat yourself with kindness, to honor your limits, to recognize that you are not here to be everything for everyone. The courage to step away from proving yourself allows you to step fully into yourself. It allows you to live in alignment with your values, to nurture your creativity, your joy, your relationships without the weight of expectation. You begin to see that the world does not need you to prove yourself. It needs you to be authentic, to show up as your true self. And authenticity is far more powerful than any performance you could ever give. In the soft life, courage and peace are intertwined. To choose peace over proving yourself is to challenge the conventional idea of strength. Strength is not measured by the exhaustion of your body or the approval of others. It is measured by the steadiness of your heart, the clarity of your mind, the freedom of your spirit. Each time you resist the urge to justify your worth, you strengthen yourself in ways that cannot be seen, but that are deeply felt. Every act of self-preservation, every moment of silence instead of argument, every choice to nurture rather than prove is a declaration of bravery. It is a way of saying, I am enough, I am worthy. I will not expend my energy seeking permission to exist. The path of peace over proving yourself is not always easy. It requires faith, patience, and trust in your own journey. The world will continue to demand, to judge, to measure, but you have the power to choose differently. You have the power to rise above the noise and honor the rhythm of your own heart. You have the courage to recognize that your life is not a competition, that your worth is not a performance, and that peace is not surrender. Choosing peace is choosing life itself, and in that choice, you embody a strength that cannot be shaken. So stand in your quiet courage and let the world measure your worth as it may. You do not need to prove yourself to anyone. Your existence is your own, your value inherent, your peace priceless. Choosing peace over proving yourself is the first step toward the soft life, and it is the most courageous step you will ever take. There is a certain grace in nurturing your own life, a quiet strength that comes from caring for your mind, your body, and your soul. In a world that often applauds constant struggle and relentless achievement, it is easy to forget that true growth does not come from exhaustion, from pushing beyond your limits, or from proving yourself to others. Growth comes from balance. Growth comes from honoring the deepest parts of yourself, from listening to the whispers of your heart, and from allowing space for rest and reflection. Choosing a soft life is not an act of surrender. It is an act of wisdom. It is the understanding that when you nourish yourself fully, you become capable of giving more, of loving more, and of living more fully. Your mind carries the weight of your thoughts, the echoes of past experiences, and the constant pressure of expectations. When you choose to nurture it, you create a sanctuary within yourself. You allow moments of silence to exist without fear, moments of reflection without judgment, moments of stillness without guilt. Meditation, reading, quiet walks, and simple contemplation are not luxuries, they are essentials. They are the soil from which clarity grows, the sunlight that illuminates your path, and the water that allows your inner strength to flourish. When your mind is nurtured, your perspective changes. You begin to see that the need to prove yourself is less urgent than the need to honor your own thoughts, your own creativity, your own dreams. The body, too, requires care. It is the vessel through which you experience the world, the instrument of your journey. Yet too often it is neglected, pushed beyond endurance in pursuit of recognition or validation. Choosing a soft life means listening to your body's rhythms, respecting its limits, and honoring its needs. Rest is not weakness. Nourishment is not indulgence. Movement, sleep, and self-care are declarations that your existence matters, that your life is worthy of preservation, that your body is sacred. When the body is nurtured, energy flows more freely, resilience strengthens, and the capacity to face challenges with grace expands. The soul, however, is the deepest layer of this nurturing. It thrives on authenticity, on alignment with your values, on acts of love and kindness toward yourself and others. When you stop proving yourself and start nurturing your soul, you open doors to intuition, to joy, to peace that cannot be taken away. Creative pursuits, quiet reflection, meaningful connections, and spiritual practices are ways to feed your soul. Each act of nurturing it is an act of liberation. It is a reminder that you are not here merely to perform for the world, but to live fully in your truth, to honor the beauty and the uniqueness of your own being. When mind, body, and soul are nurtured together, a remarkable transformation occurs. You become less reactive to the pressures of the outside world and more attuned to the wisdom within. You begin to recognize that constantly proving yourself is a form of depletion, while nurturing yourself is a form of empowerment. Strength does not come from the approval of others. It comes from the steadiness of your own heart and the alignment of your own being. The soft life is a choice to step off the hamster wheel of relentless proving and step into the rhythm of care and balance. There is also a ripple effect in nurturing yourself. When you care for your own well-being, your energy naturally radiates outward. You inspire others not through competition or demonstration, but through presence and example. You show that it is possible to live fully without sacrificing your peace. You demonstrate that strength can be quiet and resilience can be gentle. And in that demonstration, you invite others to honor themselves, to create their own space of balance, and to recognize that the soft life is not indulgence, but a path to true growth. This nurturing is not a destination, it is a practice, a continuous commitment to honor the whole of who you are. It requires patience and consistency. It asks that you resist the voices that demand you prove yourself endlessly, and instead trust that the life you cultivate in care and attention is enough. It asks that you choose your well-being as a priority, not an afterthought. The soft life is an invitation to live fully, deeply, and wisely. It is the recognition that your growth, your strength, and your impact flourish most profoundly when you nurture every part of yourself. So embrace the nurturing of your mind, body, and soul. Let care replace proving, let growth replace struggle, and let peace replace exhaustion. In doing so, you create a life that is not only sustainable but radiant, a life that honors the entirety of who you are and allows you to flourish in every way that truly matters. There is a quiet power in boundaries, a strength that is often misunderstood in a world that glorifies constant giving and relentless proving. From an early age, we are taught to accommodate, to bend, to stretch ourselves thin in service of others. We are praised for selflessness and criticized for saying no, as if our energy is an endless resource meant solely for the approval and comfort of those around us. But the truth is that boundaries are not walls meant to shut others out. They are bridges that connect us to our own well-being. They are a form of self-respect, a declaration that your time, your energy, and your peace matter. Choosing to honor them is not selfish. It is the courage to honor your own life, your own needs, and your own truth. Every boundary you set is an act of clarity. It tells the world who you are, what you value, and how you wish to be treated. Boundaries are not rigid or cold. They are gentle yet firm, like the roots of a tree that hold it steady through storms. Without them, you risk being pulled into conflicts that do not serve you, exhausted by demands that diminish you, and lost in the expectations of others. With them, you create space for your own growth, for your own rest, and for your own joy. The act of saying no when you need to is not a denial of love or loyalty. It is an affirmation of self-respect and an acknowledgement that your life is precious. Boundaries are especially essential in a culture that equates worth with constant proving. The more you prove yourself, the more the world asks. The more you give without pause, the more your soul grows weary. By setting boundaries, you reclaim the energy that was once scattered. You regain control of your focus, and you honor the rhythm of your own life. Saying no to what drains you is saying yes to what nourishes you. Saying no to constant validation is saying yes to your inner peace. Every boundary is an act of courage because it requires you to stand firm in your truth, even when the world resists, even when the voices of doubt and guilt rise to challenge you. Boundaries are also a gift to others, for they clarify expectations and encourage healthier, more authentic relationships. When you stop overextending yourself to prove your worth, you invite others to meet you in honesty and respect. You teach through example that strength is not measured by how much you give, but by how well you honor yourself. Relationships become richer, not because you sacrifice, but because you show up fully present and grounded in your own integrity. The soft life thrives when boundaries are honored because it allows for genuine connection rather than forced obligation. It is important to remember that boundaries are not fixed. They evolve as you grow. What you needed yesterday may no longer serve you today. Setting a boundary is not a one-time act, but a continuous practice of self-awareness and self-respect. It requires listening deeply to your own needs, understanding where your limits lie, and having the courage to communicate them clearly. The world may push, test, or misunderstand your limits, but the act of maintaining them is a daily affirmation that your peace matters more than proving yourself endlessly. Boundaries also teach resilience. They help you navigate challenges without losing yourself. They remind you that saying no is not rejection, but protection. That prioritizing yourself is not arrogance, but wisdom. The more you honor your boundaries, the more you cultivate an inner strength that does not depend on external validation. You begin to realize that your worth is inherent, that your life is not a performance, and that protecting your time and energy is a sacred responsibility. To live with boundaries is to embrace a soft life fully. It is to walk gently in the world while standing firm in your own truth. It is to choose peace over proving yourself, to let go of the exhausting need to meet every demand, and to create space for what truly matters. In honoring your own limits, you teach yourself and others that life is not about endless sacrifice, but about balance, integrity, and authenticity. You show that the courage to protect your soul is the truest form of strength, and that boundaries are the foundation upon which a life of peace and fulfillment is built. So set your boundaries not with guilt, but with love, not with fear, but with courage. Let them be the quiet declaration that your life, your energy, and your peace are worth protecting. In doing so, you embody a strength that does not need to prove itself and a soft life that is deeply, unapologetically yours. There is a subtle freedom that comes when you let go of comparison, a liberation that feels like breathing after holding your breath for far too long. From the moment we enter this world, we are taught to measure ourselves against others, to define our worth by how closely we match their successes, their beauty, their achievements. Social media conversations and even family expectations constantly whisper that if we are not as accomplished, as admired, as celebrated as someone else, then we are lacking. And in chasing this illusion, we lose sight of the one truth that matters. Your journey is yours alone, and it has value simply because it is yours. Letting go of comparison frees you to live authentically, to embrace your own rhythm, and to choose peace over proving yourself. Comparison is a subtle thief. It steals your joy, your confidence, and your energy, replacing them with doubt, insecurity, and exhaustion. You may find yourself constantly measuring your accomplishments, appearance, or relationships against some ideal set by others. And in that act, you forget that life is not a contest to win, but a journey to experience. Every step you take, every choice you make, every moment you breathe is unique to you. When you let go of the need to measure up, you create space for gratitude, for contentment, and for growth that is grounded in self-awareness rather than external validation. The soft life is born in this space, where your worth is not tied to comparison, but to the simple act of being. Letting go of comparison does not mean that you stop striving to grow or improve. On the contrary, it allows you to pursue growth from a place of love and curiosity rather than fear and pressure. When your motivation is not anchored in the need to outshine someone else, your efforts are infused with authenticity. You begin to recognize that your successes do not diminish the achievements of others, and their victories do not reduce your value. You understand that each person's path is unique, shaped by circumstances, choices, and timing that cannot be duplicated. To embrace your own journey fully is to honor your individuality and to acknowledge that proving yourself against others is never necessary. The freedom from comparison also opens the door to self-compassion. When you stop holding yourself to the standards of others, you can acknowledge your own struggles without judgment, celebrate your own victories without hesitation, and forgive yourself for the moments you stumble. You no longer chase an endless parade of approvals, likes, or praise. Instead, you cultivate a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that your life is enough, that your choices are valid, and that your existence is not contingent upon someone else's recognition. Every act of self-compassion strengthens your ability to live peacefully and softly, allowing you to prioritize your own well-being over the impossible task of constant validation. In letting go of comparison, you also begin to see the beauty in others without feeling diminished. The success, joy, and growth of others become inspiration rather than threat. You can cheer for their victories while still honoring your own journey. You recognize that life is not a zero-sum game, that someone else's light does not darken yours, and that your worth has never depended on outshining anyone. In this awareness, your interactions become kinder, your relationships more genuine, and your heart lighter. You begin to understand that peace is found not in competition, but in acceptance of yourself and others as they are. This release from comparison is a choice, a practice, and a daily act of courage. It requires vigilance, for the world will constantly present opportunities to measure, to judge, and to doubt. But each time you resist the pull to compare, you reclaim your power. You step off the treadmill of proving yourself to the endless gaze of others, and you step into a life guided by your own values, your own rhythm, and your own joy. You cultivate a soft life where your energy is devoted to growth, love, and peace rather than the exhausting pursuit of approval. Letting go of comparison is not a single act, it is a journey. It is the continual choice to honor your path, to embrace your own victories, and to recognize that your worth is inherent. It is the courage to prioritize your peace over proving yourself, to find contentment in your own story, and to trust that your life, with all its unique twists and turns, is enough. In releasing the need to compare, you step fully into a life of authenticity, serenity, and profound freedom. And in that freedom, you find the life you were always meant to live. There is a profound strength in prioritizing rest and calm, a power often overlooked in a world that glorifies business and constant achievement. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to our productivity, that every waking moment must be spent proving ourselves, accomplishing more, and striving for recognition. The louder the world celebrates relentless effort, the quieter the voice within us that asks simply to breathe. But rest is not a luxury. Calm is not a surrender. They are essential foundations for a life that is sustainable, meaningful, and joyful. When you choose to honor your need for rest and seek moments of calm, you are making a conscious decision to protect your energy, your clarity, and your peace. You are choosing life over the relentless pressure to prove yourself. The body carries the echoes of stress, the wear of overexertion, and the tension of endless striving. Without rest, it falters. Without calm, the mind becomes cluttered with doubt, fear, and comparison. Choosing rest and calm is a radical act of self-respect. It says to yourself and to the world that your energy is precious, that your presence matters, and that you are worthy of care. It is the courage to step away from the constant noise of proving, the humility to acknowledge your limits, and the wisdom to understand that strength is not measured by exhaustion, but by the ability to sustain yourself over time. When you rest, you recharge. When you seek calm, you regain clarity. And from that place of renewed energy, your actions are more intentional, your decisions more aligned with your truth, and your presence more powerful. Prioritizing rest is also an act of resistance. It is a gentle refusal to be defined by the world's expectations, a declaration that your value does not depend on constant output. In allowing yourself to pause, you reclaim control over your life and your choices. You no longer respond to every demand, every call to prove yourself, every comparison that threatens to steal your peace. Instead, you respond from a place of wholeness, from a place of inner strength that has been nurtured by stillness and calm. In this way, rest becomes revolutionary, a quiet yet potent force that transforms not only your energy but the quality of your life. Calm, too, is transformative. It allows you to observe your thoughts without judgment, to respond rather than react, and to find clarity amidst chaos. The soft life thrives in calm because it creates space for reflection, creativity, and authentic connection. When you prioritize calm, you give yourself the opportunity to listen to your own needs, to honor your values, and to make choices that are in alignment with who you truly are rather than what the world demands. Peaceful moments are not empty. They are fertile grounds for insight, growth, and resilience. Choosing calm over proving yourself strengthens the mind, soothes the heart, and nurtures the spirit. There is also a ripple effect in choosing rest and calm. When you honor your own need for pause, you model a life that others can admire and learn from. You show that strength does not come from overexertion, that presence is more powerful than performance, and that peace can be chosen even in a world that constantly asks you to prove yourself. Those around you feel the impact of your centered energy. Relationships become deeper, decisions become wiser, and the overall quality of life improves. Choosing rest and calm is not retreating from responsibility. It is stepping fully into your capacity to live a life of meaning and influence without losing yourself in the process. The practice of prioritizing rest and calm requires patience and intention. It is a daily commitment to honor your own rhythm and to resist the pull of external pressures. It may feel uncomfortable at first, for the world often equates action with worth and stillness with laziness. But the more you practice, the more you recognize that true productivity, creativity, and joy are born not from exhaustion, but from balance. The more you choose peace over proving yourself, the more you cultivate a life that is rich in purpose, presence, and fulfillment. In prioritizing rest and calm, you are not only caring for yourself, you are cultivating the strength to face life with resilience and grace. You are nurturing the inner resources that allow you to respond to challenges with wisdom, to connect with others with authenticity, and to live a life that is meaningful on your own terms. You are proving to yourself that strength lies not in endless proving, but in honoring your own humanity. So embrace rest without guilt, seek calm without hesitation, and let your life be guided by the understanding that peace is the foundation of true strength. In choosing rest and calm, you are choosing the soft life, and in doing so, you discover the power and beauty of living fully without the need to prove yourself. There is a quiet magic in the way inner peace radiates outward, a subtle power that transforms not only your life, but the lives of those around you. When you choose calm over chaos, when you honor your own boundaries, and when you release the need to prove yourself, your energy shifts. It no longer hinges on approval, recognition, or comparison. Instead, it becomes steady, inviting, and grounded. People notice this energy, even if it is not spoken aloud. They feel it in the way you carry yourself, in the ease of your presence, and in the warmth of your interactions. Choosing the soft life is not a withdrawal from the world. It is a way of becoming a quiet force of influence, a source of calm that others unconsciously seek and respond to. Inner peace is a reflection of self-respect and self-awareness. When you cultivate it, you understand that your value is not dependent on the applause or judgment of others. You no longer need to prove yourself to feel worthy. This freedom allows you to move through the world with a steady heart, to respond to challenges with clarity rather than reaction, and to engage with others without the need to manipulate, impress, or compete. The energy of peace draws people naturally, for it is authentic and reassuring. In choosing peace, you are offering the world a model of strength that is gentle, resilient, and sustainable. When your inner world is calm, your actions become intentional. You are no longer driven by fear, anxiety, or the compulsion to constantly validate your worth. Decisions are made with clarity, relationships are nurtured with authenticity, and your presence becomes a source of comfort rather than tension. This radiance is not about performance or appearance. It is a reflection of alignment with your own truth. Others sense when a person is grounded in themselves, and that sense of stability is magnetic. The soft life teaches that influence does not always come from striving or proving. It often comes from simply being fully present and fully at peace. The ripple effect of inner peace extends far beyond your immediate sphere. When you operate from calmness, those around you begin to mirror that energy. Tension softens, conflicts are approached with patience, and communication becomes more genuine. Children, colleagues, friends, and family feel the steadiness you carry, and it encourages them to seek similar calm within themselves. You become a quiet teacher, not through words or instruction, but through presence. In a world that often rewards noise, chaos, and endless proving, this influence is revolutionary. It demonstrates that power and impact are not always loud or visible. They can be soft, steady, and profoundly transformative. Radiating peace also allows you to engage with the world more deeply. When your energy is no longer consumed by comparison, worry, or the need to justify yourself, you have space to truly connect, to listen, and to understand. Your empathy deepens, your insight sharpens, and your capacity to love grows. People are drawn to your authenticity because it is rare and refreshing. They sense that you are not seeking to dominate, to control, or to impress. You simply exist fully in your truth, and that existence is a gift to others. The soft life, grounded in inner peace, demonstrates that influence is not about how loudly you proclaim your worth, but about how firmly and gently you hold it within yourself. Cultivating this energy requires consistent practice and intentionality. It is not always easy, for the world often tests our resolve, challenges our boundaries, and invites us back into the cycle of proving and comparing. But each time you choose peace over proving yourself, you strengthen the core of who you are. You build resilience that cannot be shaken by criticism, setbacks, or the demands of others. Your calm becomes a foundation, not only for your own life, but for the lives of those who encounter you. In this way, the soft life is both protective and expansive. It safeguards your energy while allowing your influence to spread effortlessly. The most profound part of radiating inner peace is that it is self-reinforcing. The more you nurture it, the more it grows. The more you honor your boundaries, release the need for external validation, and prioritize calm, the more your energy naturally aligns with serenity and authenticity. Others will feel it, and they will respond, not because you ask them to, but because peace is contagious. Your presence becomes a silent teacher, a reminder that life does not always have to be a battle for recognition, that worth is inherent, and that choosing peace over proving oneself is one of the most courageous and impactful acts a person can make. So carry your calm with intention, nurture your inner peace with care, and allow it to flow outward naturally. In choosing peace over proving yourself, you become a quiet force of influence, a living testament to the strength and beauty of the soft life. There is a quiet revolution in choosing the soft life, a radical decision to honor yourself without apology and to live fully without proving your worth to anyone. In a world that celebrates struggle, competition, and constant demonstration of value, choosing gentleness and peace can feel daring. Yet it is precisely in this choice that true courage is found. The soft life is not about passivity or avoidance. It is an intentional way of living rooted in self-awareness, self-respect, and the understanding that your energy and your peace are precious. It is a decision to nurture your inner world, even when the outer world demands more, to stand firm in your truth, even when it challenges societal expectations, and to embrace life with authenticity rather than pretense. To live the soft life is to recognize that proving yourself endlessly is a form of depletion. It is to understand that the relentless pursuit of validation often leaves the soul empty and the heart weary. Every act of striving to meet someone else's measure of worth takes energy away from your own growth, your own peace, and your own joy. By stepping away from this cycle, you allow yourself to reclaim what has been scattered, to restore what has been worn thin, and to align fully with your own truth. Choosing peace over proving yourself is not an act of surrender, it is an act of empowerment. It is a conscious declaration that your life matters, your time matters, and your spirit matters. The soft life teaches that strength is not measured by how loudly you assert your value, but by how steadily you honor your own needs. It asks you to cultivate boundaries, to nurture rest, and to prioritize self-care. Each of these choices reinforces a life that is intentional rather than reactive, deliberate rather than compelled by external pressures. The courage to say no, the humility to step back, and the wisdom to choose calm over chaos are not signs of weakness. They are markers of profound strength. They demonstrate an understanding that you are enough as you are, that your worth does not depend on constant proving, and that peace is a more powerful currency than approval. Choosing the soft life also transforms the way you relate to others. When you are not consumed by the need to prove yourself, you engage with the world more authentically. Your relationships are deeper, more honest, and more meaningful because you show up from a place of alignment rather than performance. People sense the difference. They feel the steadiness of your presence, the warmth of your authenticity, and the freedom of your energy. You no longer give to impress or to gain validation. You give because it aligns with your values and your heart. In doing so, you create a ripple effect, inspiring others to consider gentleness, authenticity, and peace as viable and even courageous ways of being. The soft life is not about escaping challenges. It is about facing them with clarity, resilience, and grace. When your energy is protected and your mind is calm, you are better equipped to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. You approach difficulties with wisdom rather than fear, with intention rather than pressure. You cultivate patience, understanding, and empathy, not at the expense of your own well-being, but alongside it. This approach allows for solutions that are sustainable, decisions that are grounded, and actions that honor both yourself and the world around you. Choosing peace over proving yourself strengthens not only your inner life, but the impact you have outwardly. There is also freedom in the soft life, a liberation from the unending need for recognition, comparison, and validation. This freedom allows you to explore your passions, your creativity, and your purpose without the weight of judgment or expectation. You become attuned to what truly matters to you, rather than what others think should matter. You learn to celebrate your own victories, small and large, and to trust that your journey is enough. In this way, the soft life is not indulgent, it is sacred. It nurtures your ability to live fully and authentically, offering a template for a life of peace that does not require the exhaustion of proving yourself. The soft life is a choice, a practice, and a declaration. It asks you to step off the treadmill of constant proving, to prioritize peace, and to honor your own worth with intention and courage. It is the quiet revolution that redefines strength, success, and influence. By embracing this life, you cultivate a resilience that is gentle but unshakable, a presence that is soft but profoundly impactful, and a soul that is calm yet unstoppable. So choose the soft life unapologetically. Stand firmly in your peace, nurture your spirit, and let your existence be a testament to the courage of living fully without the need to prove yourself. As we come to the close of this journey together, remember that the choice to embrace the soft life is not a retreat from the world, but a courageous step toward honoring your own heart. Choosing peace over proving yourself is a declaration of your worth, a recognition that your mind, body, and soul deserve care, and a commitment to live authentically, gently, and intentionally. Each act of setting boundaries, letting go of comparison, prioritizing rest, and nurturing your inner peace strengthens you and ripples outward, inspiring others without a word. The soft life is not selfish. It is sacred, it is powerful, and it is transformative. Carry this understanding with you, allow it to guide your choices, and let it remind you that your value has never been determined by the applause of others. Stand firmly in your peace, honor your journey, and allow your calm and authenticity to light the way for those around you. You have within you the courage to live fully, freely, and unapologetically. Good luck as you step into this life of intentional peace and quiet strength. Thank you for taking the time to embrace these words, to reflect, and to honor the soft, courageous life that is yours to live.